Hi, Nick Duffy here from Nick Duffy Golf. Here to continue on with the junior golf series and talking a little bit about an issue that kind of plagues a lot of junior golfers, and that's just basically swinging a little too far in to out. So being someone who was undersized junior golfer, I mean, I was 5'7", not even 5'7" when I first started, but I was short when I started, maybe weighed 100 pounds, and then as I grew into, teenage years, I'm still only 5'7", 125 maxed out. So in that time, I had to learn how to hit the ball a little further and keep up with a lot of my friends. And I would say I did a pretty good job of figuring out how to do it. But long term, what it did to my ball control, what it did to my swing, stuff like that, made it very difficult for me to compete when I got to college. So I struggled a lot in college golf just due to what I was trying to do in junior golf to hit the ball further. So I think a lot of juniors are struggling from the same thing. Everything nowadays in golf is all about shallowing the club. I mean, I know I've even had a video series on it. So a lot of times, if you're following a lot of advice, especially as a junior golfer, you could be leading down a road of getting too far inside and too far out. So it's going to lead to blocks, going to lead to hooks, going to lead to poor ball control. Driver, you can still kind of get away with it a little bit, but iron's going to be very difficult to play. Wedge shots will not be the easiest one either. So as you keep going as a player, you're going to learn to develop that shot not being so drastic, not so far in and out. And I'm talking anything more than like 5 degrees in and out. If we are only, say 4, 3, that's playable as long as you can manage the club face. If you can manage the club face, then you're normally fine. If 3 to 4 is difficult for you to get used to squaring the face properly, well, that's when you'd have to make a change. But I'm just talking about someone, in this entire video is basically about someone who has a pretty good control of the club face. So that being said, we try to dive into some of the reasons why this will happen. So a lot of times it starts out as an effort to hit the ball further. One of the easiest ways to hit the ball longer, just pattern-wise, is to get more in to out. So you're putting less spin on the golf ball. You want to hit a little harder. The club's actually working in the proper sequence and the proper motion to hit the ball the longest. The problem is it could get out of control at times. And it's not that hitting it farther you're going to hit more out of control, because it's not true at all. It's just this pattern, when it's overdone, will be out of control. And then eventually you actually hit it shorter, because you got to slow everything down to make it in play. So one of the biggest things, once again, that I go back to is just kind of training a pattern that's pretty neutral. If you want to be a little more in out, if you want to be a little more cutty, whatever you want to be, you could train it. But the key is knowing how to train it, why you want to have it a bit more neutral. So one thing I like to always do is just use barriers. So for me, if I need to practice, I'd set up something like we have right here in the ground. So my takeaway won't get too far in. My downswing stays outside the stick, and then stays left of this stick. If I can stay pretty much within those parameters, my sweet spot doesn't travel too far either way through there, I'm going to hit the ball pretty good. This is one thing for me, that if I could stay pretty neutral, I'm hitting the ball great. If I'm just left to my own devices, just hitting range balls. So if I was sitting here just hitting random range balls, not working on anything, I'm going to get severely in to out. I mean, I may end up 8, 9 degrees in and out by the end of the day. That's just my personal pattern that I've developed from being a kid. Learning how to hit the ball far from doing that, and that's, for me, it feels like the best way to hit it. Problem is I get severely stuck, and I have struggle with playing golf that way. So that being said, always start out with the barriers. A lot of times this is enough as a player, to kind of figure it out, help you kind of get your pattern back, get the sweet spot traveling in a better fashion. Okay. Another thing we want to watch will be our pressure in the ground. So if you see a player that is severely into out, another thing you'll tend to see is a lot of force on their toes at impact. And there's a difference between being, at impact, working your way back, and being up on your toes this way, just extending a lot through impact. That's okay. But the player who gets at transition on their toes severely, and now they have their hips under them, club's going to work more behind them, so they're going to get more into out. That is a player you tend to see really struggle with the pattern getting too much. So another great drill, you could use something like the shift board, or you could use something like I'll cut up a lacrosse ball, and you kind of use it just as awareness. So you put it more on your toe, That way when you go through, if you try to hump it, you're going to feel this pushing down, right? So now when I start to feel that, and okay, now I got to get my weight further back into my heel, or more towards the left heel, help me get more open, help my path shift a little more left, and the club work a little more left. So that's two pretty simple ways to work on getting the swing not as far end out. Once again, this is all people who have pretty neutral club faces. There are other instances where this pattern gets a little extreme just based upon a bad club face. But for a neutral club face, pretty solid. From there, I would say if you work on the path, build some barriers. This stick is about the same angle. I have an 8-iron right here. Just happened to be the first club I grabbed. Have it back there, slightly inside of your target line. Okay? And then this one just slightly outside the target line. So what we want to keep from happening is overly end out. Okay? I always start out these drills, start them out a bit on easy mode. So what I mean by that is start a little further back so you give yourself a little more room. If you're hitting the ball pretty good doing that, I wouldn't even bother moving it that much. If you're still able to hit pretty big hooks from this angle, make them a little harder. That means just move them more this way. So the biggest thing about in-to-out swings and the message for this overall video is as a junior player, as someone looking to play tournament golf, we just don't want to get ourselves going down a road of either too far in to out, too far out to in. We just want to keep everything pretty much within a decent container. If you want to play a draw, if you want to play 5 degrees in and out, that's fine. I'm just picking 5 because a lot of times what I've noticed over the years is anything more than that, people have trouble managing low point and club face. So if you can keep it within that frame, that little container, it works fine for you. Now, I'm not saying you have to swing neutral. I'm not saying you have to be zeroing out path, because we all know that is not how you play golf. Playing golf is basically keeping the ball within play and having a predictable ball flight. So hopefully that helps you out. If you have any questions, please let me know. Hi, hopefully this video helps you out. If you liked it, please like my video. Please subscribe. Please put a comment down asking any questions or just anything that may do with the video. If you need any suggestions or you want to suggest another video for me, please let me know in the comments. I'd be more than happy to try to shoot them. I'm always looking for good ideas. So any way I can help out the viewers of this channel, please let me know. Hopefully these tips help you out and will continue to improve your game. Thanks.